Okay, I'm very excited to be here because I love my Aussie bird friends. Ever since I got involved with the bird groups and got my finches, I made some really good friends from Australia, mentors, and just a lot of support and a lot of caring from them. And I've also got friends from all over the world. And I have to say, the Aussies are definitely my favorite, not only from the friendship, but also the way they take care of their birds and the way they house the birds and the birds they keep. I'm so respectful and I admire how you take care of your birds. So just wanted to put that out there so you know that. And I have a little guide here that I'm going to give you the rundown of how the tour is going to go. And that way you'll know kind of where we're going. So it's not blind. Anyway, let me go through the steps. And then after that, the first thing that we're going to do is a little slideshow that shows different photos of the aviaries and around the farm. So first thing I want to say is that my husband and I have lived here 40 years, and he built all the buildings and he built all the aviaries. He's a contractor, so I'm quite lucky, and he likes to build things for me. And I say, honey, I have an idea. What do you think? Could we build that porch in and heat it and add some windows? Of course. And then he makes it way better than I thought of it. But we're a team, and I design and think of things. He builds them, and then afterwards, I decorate and move in. So I just wanted you to know that my husband's a big part of my aviaries, although he doesn't spend time with the birds like I do, uh, even though he's an animal lover. But I'm mostly out there by myself I do everything in the aviaries. I cut all the limbs and trees and put everything on the walls. And I enjoy doing all of it. It's taken me 8 years to get these aviaries, about 12 rooms, where they are 1 to 2 rooms a year. It started with one room. Then the next year, one more. The next year, one more, on and on and on until I felt like I think I have enough rooms. But as you know, you always need more room when you're collecting birds. Anyway, so we'll be touring all the rooms. And after the slideshow, we're going to start on the back side of the aviary because I want to end up in the front when we're done. And so we don't have to walk through and come back through. I want it to be uh, a room at a time without backtracking. All right. So for that reason, we're going to start in the back of my backyard. But just so you know, all of the aviaries are connected to the house. So the roof goes off the house like a porch, and then it's built in, and it goes along one whole side and another whole side. So it's like an L of rooms. They're all connected. And so I can move birds around easily. But once I'm inside, I can go anywhere. There's a lot of doors, and I have a lot of options, which is really nice. Right now, I've got birds in just 3 rooms. I put most of my birds and all my dream birds and my special birds in one holding aviary so we can look at them all at once. Normally, they're in several rooms, so they have a lot of choices. And as we go through, you'll see a few birds in those rooms because they're nesting, so I didn't want to move them. And my pekin robins just hatched out chicks this week, so they're in the greenhouse by themselves. And the first room we're going to go in has birds that I have to keep separate for one reason or another. And there's a small amount in there. So now I'm going to give you the schedule that we're going to follow so you kind of know where we're going. So we're going to watch the slideshow in just a minute, and I'll talk about the pictures as they come up just briefly. And I'll tell you how I got my first birds. And then we're going to look around this backyard just a little bit. Then we're going to go in the first aviary. And we built that aviary last. So you're going to see the last one first, but that's okay. Then we're going to go in the greenhouse. We built that second. Then we're going to go in the nesting heated room. That was the first room. Then from that room, there's a door that goes into the house. It's a door I go in and out the aviary all the time. We're going to go through the house and go out around so you can see the whole other side of the aviary from far away so you can see how it's all built onto the house. I'm also going to pick a few things for the birds and show you some things I'm growing because I grow a lot of food. And both my husband and I are very into gardening. We love to grow things. That's another passion of mine. And we've got a lot of perennials. Well, you'll see when we go around. It's high desert. It's hard to grow things here. It's dry, but we get a lot of snow melt off the mountains, and we have irrigation. My pond is the irrigation pond, and you can see it right here. There's the pond, and I've got ducks out there. Can you see that? No, we'll look at it in a second. Anyway, so it's pretty lush, but that's not typical around here so much. But we water constantly, and we have a lot of water rights from the irrigation. And this year we had a really good snow melt because we got over 150 inches of snow in the mountains. We're only 25 miles from a big mountain range, and the mountains are snow covered year round. Got really pretty mountain views. You'll see a photo of that shortly. So after that, we're going to look at the front porch where there's the other entrance where my sign is, and there's breeding flights. And then at the end, that's the end of the walk around. We're going to end up in the paradise room. And then I'm going to bring all my special birds in there. They're in a holding room. And the reason I did that is because I put all this special food out and I want them to come so you can really look at it and watch them eating this special food because it's really fun to watch them. And I picked it all this morning. I usually give it to him every morning, but of course they didn't get it this morning. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So they should come right in on it. And I've got, you know, 8 black cheek wax bills, a bunch of twin spots, swee wax bills, a lot of really rare birds in there. So it's I mean, I'm still in awe that I have those birds. I got them last October through an vendor, and I'm just so tickled that I was able to get those birds. Anyway, so Peter, would you like to do start the slideshow real quick? I'm ready for that, and then we'll start the tour. Okay, I can see. That is our shop and guest house. And that's just during a snowstorm. We got a lot of snow in the winter. And that's actually beside our house. And next one. And that is a greenhouse that's quite a ways from the house. And that's in the winter when I had my birds the very first year. And I really struggled keeping them warm. And it was 1 year after I got my birds when I moved them, and Jack built me a heated, insulated room where I wouldn't be stressed about keeping my birds warm and them dying. But that's just a picture of it at night with all the heat lamps on and all the heating devices. And we'll go look at that later. And that's the room where I first started. It wasn't for my birds, it's my husband's greenhouse. I went and got a couple zebra finches, put them in a little cage, thought that would be cute in there. And then I let them out, and it was like, oh my God, that's so special. And then I found a website where I could get finches, and I saw the world of finches, and I started ordering finches, and I ordered over 100 the first year. And they all stayed in this little greenhouse, 8 foot wide by 12 feet long. And then after I struggled with the heating and the cooling, because it wasn't set up right, we built the porch in and moved into the first big aviary that I'll show you when we get in there. but that's where I started. That's the mountain view right out of my aviary. The mountains are really close. That's a hayfield in front of the mountains. That is my first outdoor aviary, and directly behind it is the first indoor that we put the birds in. And then the next year we built that one, and I harvested those white birch trees. I really wanted those in there, and I love them. And when we go in there, I have a lot of other white birch trees. If you ever can get white birch trees for your aviaries, the birds look so pretty next to them. They really stand out. That's my little potting shed that we have is by my irrigation pond. I'm going to show you that when I start the tour. And it's got chicken wire on the windows. I've kept foxes and baby deer, different animals in there, but it's really cute inside. So Jack built me that 35 years ago. I said, honey, I really want a little house that looks old. And he used all old materials for me. It was very sweet. That's inside the greenhouse. And that was just when I moved in. It doesn't look like that at all anymore because it's very filled up. But that's like the first month that I had it. And I put those pictures of my birds on the wall. And it's a big greenhouse, and it's my birds' favorite place. They love it in there. And that's the greenhouse at night with some lights. And there's another pond over by the greenhouse, and it's reflecting in there. And this is the first view of the aviary that I moved in after I got out of Jack's greenhouse. And if you go down, there's bay windows. He put the skylights in. He polished the concrete floor. It had plug-ins and a hose bib, so that was really good. And then from that room, we built the other 11 rooms off of that. But that was the first one I had. And that was just an indoor heated room. And I put about 100 birds in there to start. That's the greenhouse in winter. And we have the largest size split air in there. And it heats it really well, even when it's super cold, because it's not insulated. But I can add propane heat, and I can also move them out of there if I need to. When it gets really, really cold, it's a challenge because it's not made for cold. But 90% of the time, I can keep it warm in there for them. That's in the outdoor where the birch trees are looking into the greenhouse. That's outside two of the aviaries, and that's a creek and a pond we put in to have it right there. And when we go over, that's right after we did it. When we go over there, you can barely see it. It's so overgrown, but it's really pretty. And it brings in a lot of bugs through the wire. Those little gnats are everywhere because of the water. And my birds just love eating bugs on that side of the aviary. That's a photo of the outdoor right after I moved in. It looks completely different. It's all planted. You can barely see through it now. It's so thick with stuff. But a month after it was done, that's what it looked like. And it's a lovely room. I love it. And the bay windows are the indoor room that we looked at that's heated. And I can open the windows and the birds fly in and out. And it's a special spot. And that's where we're going to end the tour and where I'm going to bring all the special birds in. That is the last aviary I built, and that's right after it was done. It's really bare right there. It's got a planted aviary in the middle, and it looks out on the pond. And I made that whole room white so it wouldn't show the bird poop. Got smarter about that. And that's where I've got the birds that are separated right now. And you'll see it's got a lot more habitat in it, but it's a really nice room. That room, all the rooms are made so when the birds are gone, they could be parts of the house. Like that could be a sunroom. They can be used for other things because they're not built like, you know, chicken coops. It's built like a house, but it was built just for the birds. It wasn't a room that we moved the birds into that we already had. It was built specifically for the birds. That's another one of the greenhouse, and that's when I got more plants in it. I love having the wood chips on the floor, really easy to take care of. And that's the outdoor. That's a different year, planted, a lot more stuff in it, not so bare. That's the garden, which is across the driveway, and my peacocks. It's the picture I really like. And I grow a lot of food in the garden for the birds, and I'm going to show you that. That's just my chickens. We have had a lot of game fowl and a lot of birds that we have loose in the yard. That's another one of the greenhouse when it's gotten more filled in. That's a millet crop that I grew in the garden, and that's a bird's favorite. I don't have any that's mature right now. The things that I picked for them today are smaller um, seed pods, but I grow it every year for them. And that's a big harvest that I did with the birds on it inside the aviary. That's a corner in the aviary. I love using ladders, and you can see that's a big orchard ladder, and the walls are 12 feet high. So it's really nice because when I walk in that door's in the house or up high, they don't move because they feel so safe because they're way up above me. And I like that. I have to use big ladders to get around. That's just a sun view in the snow. That's another one of the greenhouse, another view with a lot of plants. That's one of my pheasants out loose in the yard. That's what I'm sitting right at this table right now, and that's the view of the pond, and you're going to see that in a minute. That's the L of the aviary. That's the white aviary, an outdoor, and the greenhouse. And those are the rooms that we built after. Then it goes the whole other direction the other way. But you can kind of see the size. They're pretty big rooms and the pond that's around it. That's inside the room that I showed you. That's the special room, a different year with different kinds of flowers. Every year it looks different because I do different things in there. That's a picture of my potting shed that Jack built with flowers a few years ago. That is the front of the house where the other aviary entrance is, and just some of the plants that we grow. That great big one is called Devil's Cap, and it grows huge every year. And then it dies all the way back in the winter and grows all the way up. That's one of the outdoors. Another one that we added on. So there's two side by side. And we added that one's the last one we added. And that's on a winter day, super cold. And that's the greenhouse in winter with the heat lamps on inside. That's evening sunlight, sunset out by my potting shed. That's Christmas decorations in my aviary in the bay window for my birds, and those are fake birds on the tree. But I'm passionate about decorating. I always decorate for them. They like it, even though it can be disruptive a bit, but they're always happy when it's done because they like new things. That's sunset with the potting shed with a different view without flowers in the early spring. That's another view of the pond. Another peacock in the yard. That's the garden. It's huge for two people. I don't know why we grow so much, but Jack loves to plant stuff. So it's really healthy this year. And I just got those ducks a while ago. They were little tiny and they're sitting around the edge of the pond. And that's another view in the greenhouse. I always change things and redecorate, and that was what it looked like this winter. It looks a lot like that still now. And that's a view of the greenhouse across the pond. And that's my sign I had made, and that's on the front porch. When we go around, you'll see that. That is a picture of me a while ago. I'm much grayer now, but I thought I should. Okay, I've got to grab my little tablet. So that, I'm going to shorten my stick so I can walk better. That's the potting shed. We're just going to take a quick look inside. Lots of plants. It has a beautiful stained glass window that's from a church that Jack put in it. And it's got a bed. And it's really a nice place to sit and have a visit. I love it. I love old stuff. And this will warm me up for the aviaries because this is how I like things to look. Homey, lived in, and old. And it's kind of hard to do that in the aviary, but I tried my best. Anyway, this is the pond. You can see I have a lot of mature trees. We planted all the trees, but it's so nice to have all the limbs for the birds. And I have an endless supply of trees and limbs. So this porch is the same size as the porch that we built in on the other side of the house. So you can see it's 12 feet wide, 12 feet high, has a polished concrete floor. As you can see, that's perfect to make it into an aviary. And then this is the entrance on the back side of my aviary right here. And this is a safe room. So we'll walk in here. So we can look at some of the birds, but they're going to be kind of far away. I have some worms that I can feed these and see if they'll come down. I'm not sure if they will. I've got a violet ear and a Peter's twin spot they really like their worms. Here you go, guys. Who wants a? So I always make this sound for them. What's a worm? They get up in those skylights where it's really high. I've also got pintails in here that I had two clutches, so I had to separate some. I've got Eurasian tit, European robin, couple others. I've got some extra sweet waxbill hens that were interfering with the other pairs. So this is a good aviary to put birds that need to be away from the others, I guess. But I am going to let them outside. I locked them in so we could kind of contain them. So this is the outdoor aviary for this aviary. And then straight across, when you see that door, that will take us into the greenhouse. And I can let birds from the greenhouse out here, from this other room, through this window. I can let them out. So, and it's pretty good size. And it's all planted over here in this corner, creek, and then another pond. So they'll be coming out, I'm sure. So now this next room that we're going into is my catch room. And it has 4 doors on it. So it goes 4 different directions. The greenhouse, the outdoor, and then that little door goes into that big heated aviary. And it's got little tiny slide doors up on the top, but it's invaluable because I can catch birds in here really quick. And I can move them from any side. It's just perfect. So in here, this is the greenhouse. You can hear my robins. I've got the air conditioning on for them. There they are, right up there. I don't know if I can zoom in on them. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're off the nest because they're feeding, and they hatched out early this week. Show you this room. Those are, I always take pictures of my birds for records, and I love fixing backgrounds and taking photos. And then that's the split air up there, the biggest one they make, and that's a honey. I love that thing. And then a really comfortable chair to sit in that swivels, antiques. Here's what the robins are eating. They're eating blueberries, hard-boiled egg, small mealworms, waxworms, and then that's a pate for softbills. And then they like these little fruit things too. And that's what they eat. I like it that they don't eat a lot of fruit because it's sticky poop and messy. Anyway, you can kind of see the pond out there. And there's a screen right there that I open the windows every day so it gets a crosswind. A bunch of sticks up there. And then if you can see that light blonde coconut fiber in that tree, that's where their nest is. And they do an open cup nest. And that's where they chose. So I had to move all the other birds out of here so they could have their privacy, but that's okay. They're very important. I had to wait 2 years on a waiting list, and they were $2,000. And they sing, they're smart, they're friendly, they're nice to the other birds. They're definitely a favorite. I love them. Then this is a little small room that's a transition room that can be a catch room. It goes into the big outdoor, goes into that other outdoor, and then I can open a slide door for the catch room. So a lot of these little rooms have 4 doors on them, so I can send birds whichever way I want, or I can go whichever way I want, and it works out really well. It's very user friendly. Oops. Okay. We're in the catch room. I'm gonna open this door. So a lot of birds would be in here normally, but I moved them out so we could see them all together at the same time. But this room, I've got sweet waxbill nesting in here, pintails, and Floria parrot finch. And that's my chair, and that's a stressless recliner. And I love sitting there for hours and watching my bird. And the reason is I can see 3 aviaries at once. And it's also right where all the water is. So I can check them. I come in early in the morning with my coffee. There's some waters right here, and then water out there. And that's the room that has all the plants in it. And they spend all their time out there. That's all those plants are live. And I love taking care of it. I always keep that window really clean so I can watch the birds. And I can just sit here for hours. It never gets old. I have lots of temperature gauges, humidity gauges in all the rooms. I think it's 32 degrees Celsius today, about 90 Fahrenheit. So it's hot. And there's another big split air, all AC and heat on a thermostat. And then see this window right here is in the house, in the family room. So I can look out the window and check the birds, which is really nice from inside the house. And I have lots of dried grasses everywhere. I let them eat the heads and then I hang them or put them places for nesting, or they pick on them. Like, see all these little ones right here? They'll keep eating those for a long time. And they're all over my farm. I have a lot of them. And got a lot of nests up in here, up high. Like, there's probably one every foot. This is one's the lavenders. They fly, they just fly straight in. They don't need to perch. And there's another one that's a waxbill one. See that hole? They just like zoom in like little jets. My coloria are nesting up there. And then here's another. I have food stations all over because I have so many different species. Oh, look, there's the little coloria mother that's off the nest right now because her husband's on the nest. I love those little parrot finches. They are the sweetest ones of all the parrot finches I've had. They really are mellow and sweet, and they're little too. So we have more nests. All that upper area is for nesting. And then on this side, I have the nest up there. And this is my table where I cut things up. And then a cupboard with nesting things. And then this is my big food cupboard where I keep a lot of seeds. It's really good storage. And then another big antique with being rodent proof, and I can put a lot of food in there. And then that's my hospital cage. I've got heater right by it if I need to put a bird in the hospital. I've got a twin spot in there right now because he was poor this morning, and I thought he was molting. I'm not sure, but he may have spent the night outside and been a little cold because I didn't find him. Anyway, and then this window goes in to the bathroom. So when you sit there on the toilet, you can watch the birds. Very nice. Everyone should have that. It's a big bonus. Anyway, so this room, like I said, it's really long. It's the first room I built, and it's where I spend most of my time. These are photos of the very first birds I got. All these birds I had in that first little greenhouse. I had a lot of canaries and Goldians and lots of chicks and learned a lot. And then I got into the more rare birds. Then this is a room that we added on later that will go in. It's a breeding flight, and it's a 12 by 12. I've got two of those, and I got those. I asked Jack to build the porch in some more so I would have a place for my import birds to get acclimated and if I need to separate birds. So now this door that we're going to go in is the door that I use 24/7 to come in and out to see the birds. And this goes into the house. And what's really nice is that it's so like convenient. I can go in and out all day. I don't need a safe room because if they get, and it's right into my bedroom. So I can lay on the bed, take a nap, and listen to the birds. Now that is nice. And I like to keep it really clean and pretty because it's next to the birds. And I don't want people to think, oh, that must be really gross and poopy that she's right by those birds. And it's like, no, it's not. They're very clean. I keep it really clean. And so this is the bedroom that goes into the aviary. And it's the way I always go in and out. It's really handy. Then this goes into our house. I just want to show you how close the aviary is. This is the dining room. You see, I have lots of antiques and decorations. It's kind of like the aviary, only it's the house, because the aviary is a part of the house. I take all my very nicest things out there because I want to be with them when I'm with the birds. Anyway, lots of stuff that's old, no cabinets, because I like it to feel old. So it's a long room with a big fireplace. And then right here is the sink. And right here, I can see into that bedroom and hear the birds when I'm at my sink. And if you look down this hall, that window you see at the end is the window into that white aviary, the first one we went into, all the way down there. So that's where it wraps around. And so now we're going to go out to the front and enter, and then we're going to see all the birds shortly. So this is the front. I've got those huge willow trees. That's so nice for limbs. And that is my horse barn. I'm a retired horse trainer, competitor, had a stallion with that I bred all the time, worked really hard, and my body gave out. So that's when I got the birds, and it was like, this is really good. This is so much better because everything's easy. It's not heavy, and horse poop compared to bird poop, way littler. So not near as much labor involved. So this is, you can see how far this is from the house and in the winter. This is the first aviary I had, the little greenhouse. And then this is our garden. We've got a lot of vegetables in here. And Jack and I both work on this. We enjoy it. We like growing things. And now let me go over here and just pick a couple things for the birds. That's the warehouse and the guest house right there. And then that is the front of the house. But right here, I've got some switchgrass, which is one of their favorite grasses, which is this little tiny seed, so little. And they are crazy over it. I grow a lot of it. If you ever can grow it for your birds, I highly recommend it. And then also this little foxtail grass. These are little cones with seeds, and they eat those one at a time. They love those also. And I already picked some for them earlier, but I just wanted to show you that. So now we're going to go to the other entrance that's in the front. And goes on to the front porch where we sit a lot. Nice and cool when it's hot. And that straight away is the aviary. So that was used to be 24 feet more a porch. We have so much porch. And I said, honey, can we build that in? And so it was later when there were no birds. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 doors. It's got 4 sets of French doors. It's really special. And then this is the front yard. And beyond where that rope fence is, we have a 40-acre hayfield that we farm. We've already done the first cutting. We got 3 cuttings. And then this is the last aviary we just built. And it's next to the other one that's outside. And this is where all the birds are waiting. And they're going to go into that really pretty room. But this room's planted and it has a lot of bugs because it's got the screen on it. And then I grow food for them right here. This is some different grasses. And it's really nice because it's so handy. It's right there. We have a lot of fruit trees. And that's my aspen grove. We get a lot of limbs from the aspens. So this room can be a breeding flight, a storage room, or a safe room. And right now, it's a safe room and a storage room because I don't need it for a breeding room. But when I got my birds last year that came from Europe, I put them in here. And then in cages, all of them. And then when I let them out, they were just in this small room, which was really nice by themselves. And they get used to the glass, so they don't fly hard into the glass because I have a lot of glass. And the reason I do is because I have to see out. Very important. But it's got this is the porch, so it's got the 12-foot high ceiling, which is really nice. And that window is the bedroom window. So I gave up the bedroom window for the birds, which is fine. So now we're going to enter another same size flight here. And the birds go in here from that room, that room, that room, or that room, which is nice. So I can send them any direction, open any doors, move them around, and it's really easy to get birds switched. Now we're going to go into this favorite room, and then I'm going to get the birds. Let's switch this right here. So this room has a lot of plants. It's got bird trees. Also for wintertime, because we ended up enclosing the outside last winter so they could live in here in the winter. And we put the poly panels on the outside and heat with that propane stove. And I can keep them warm. It works pretty good. And I just like having a lot of real estate. It's always good. So right here, got a few birds, stragglers in here. But right here is my food I picked this morning that they're going to come. I'm hoping they're going to come in here and all land, and you can look at them and watch them eat, and very up very close too. So I'm going to put that food we just picked right there. So I've got a lot of different grasses from the farm that they like. I always give them a hard boiled egg every day. A lot of them eat that. I also feed cucumber almost every day. They have that water and bath dish. And then I'm going to open that screen door and let them all in. But first, oh my goodness, you have to see the special bird. I named him Cracker after Australia, and he is a cracker. He is a crimson seed cracker. Can you see him? He's bright red.
Yep.
See him? Oh, and he should come down when we um, let everyone in. But he's a really special guy. I hope he makes it. They're really fragile. Anyway, I'm going to open these doors for them. And what I'm going to do is set this down really quick so it's ready. Okay, we just need to be a little patient because it's going to be groups will come in. So the parrot finches are always first because they are bold. There's the calorias, and I have a lot of hide and two kinds of lavender wax bills or wax bills. I've got the gray wax bill with the black tail, and then the lavender wax bills. I adore those. And then there's a greenback twin spot in the worms. Can you see her? Little green bird eating worms up there. Diamond firetail. And then look at these black cheek wax bills. We're going to come in on that witchgrass because they love it. And they are so pretty. And I've got 8 of those, and they're really healthy. And they congregate in groups. They are one of my favorites. And of course, the sweet wax bill are so sweet. That's a little sweet hen in the front. They're not colorful as the males, but they're great birds. I want to see if I can enlarge the screen for you. Not sure if I can. No, I don't think so. It looks little to me, but maybe it's not. There. There's going to be about 30 of them, right? All in that same spot on where all that fresh grass is. They'll all come at the same time. Their black sheep just came in. Once one comes in, then they all start to come at the same time. I love how they move. They're so graceful. I got 3 clutches from my pair. They did really well. That's, that's the pintail that just landed. They're sort of shaped like Goldians, even though they're parrot finches. And then the strawberries, I love my strawberries. I've got some really red ones. And I've got about 6 of those. There's a male twin spot that's up on that stick by the strawberry. And there's a pink twin spot hen with spots. And then that bird that's blue with the red, that's a hybrid. That's a red face Forbes cross that a friend gave me. And then in that hanging thing, I've got my opal firetail. I love her. She's white. She's very pretty. And there's a male wee waxbill, and he's got the black on his face. They are the cutest birds. Do you see him? He just landed by his hand. And that strawberries right there. At this time, if anyone has any questions, and then we're just going to do a little slideshow at the end with some pictures of my birds, of ones that I've had and ones I have. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer anything you'd like to ask me. And that diamond firetail is a really nice one. They told me, I've heard if they have got 3 lines of dots, that's really like top of the top. And he's got definitely, he's very mature. He's born in my aviary. I've had him a long time. And that little sweet wax bill hen right in front of him. And then my pintails, of course, I have pairs. More strawberry. That's what I like. And everyone needs to get along in harmony and live together. That's my rule if they want to be in my aviary. So I work really hard at keeping species that can tolerate each other and live in groups. And this mix of birds does really well. And I've had so many different combinations of species together. It's really hard to get it right with a lot of them. But this group is amazing. And it's a really big group with a lot of kinds. And there is no chasing. You can see if they're going to have a problem, it's going to be when there's food, right? Nobody, if someone lands by another one, they don't leave. Everyone just gets along and likes it. They like each other. So that is really, really nice. Those other birds in that first aviary, that's why they're not in here. They are pushy or, you know, territorial, you know, that they caused me a problem, but I really like them. I don't want to get rid of them. So I'm keeping them, but they can't be in with this group. Oh, and that's that sea green parrot finch. He's one of my oldest birds. His name is Gold Rush. I remember when Graham Guthrie saw him the first time, he couldn't believe how big his gold patch was. He loved him. And I didn't know he was that special until Graham told me how special he was. And he's going to live till old age, but he's getting slow. He's having trouble getting around, but he's not sick or hurt. But I can tell he's declining. I don't know how much longer he'll live. But boy, those parrot finches are my parrot finches are never sick. They they just like nothing phases them. And that's one of the reasons I have about 14 of them. I really like them because they're hardy and they're not fragile. These fragile ones really stress me out. And I've lost a lot of greenback twin spots. Uh, they get respiratory diseases. They get liver disease. I've had them necropsy. I've had a lot of them. And I keep replacing them because I love them so much when I can find them. The strawberries, too, I've had for a really long time. They're really hardy. Nothing phases them. Can you see that yellow parrot finch up in that hanging feeder? That's a Latino hen. She's a really pretty bird. So this is not a time they normally feed. This is when they nap after 3. They don't really come onto the food again until around 5. So they eat all morning, then they eat around noon, and then they eat around 5. So, but they're coming out. Now on that hanging copper feeder is my male pintail. And he's got some war wounds because he built so many nests and the coconut fiber scraped his face. And I think he's getting ready to molt. But boy, those pintails are so special. I love them. Took me a long time to get those also. And those are $1,000 a pair. Very expensive. The black cheek wax bills are very expensive. The sweet are $2,500 a pair. Really expensive. Green stick is my red-fronted Saren. She's molting, but she's going to be really pretty. And I really like those Sarens because I miss my canaries. And they're in the canary family. But they're from a forest area where it's cold, so they're really hardy. And they sing. And they're small. They're smaller than canaries. They're really a neat bird. You ever can get a red-fronted Saren, they're a really cool bird. Can you see that Latino now? That girl on the stick?
Yep. Yep.
Yellow. And my lavenders are in great condition. They're so pretty. I don't know where my black-tailed ones are. I don't see them.
Question for you, Tina. How do you go with cleaning around the place?
Cleaning?
Yes.
Did you ask cleaning? Well, let me tell you, that question is asked more than any other question. Ask me about how do I clean? How do I keep it so clean? If I had $100 bill for every time someone asked me that, I mean, I'd be a millionaire probably. But here's the deal. When I take the time and effort to make it look really pretty and nice, if it gets run down or, poop everywhere or things that are, dead, whatever, I'm not happy. And when I sit with my birds, I want it to look really nice. So what I do when I come out in the morning and I give them their fresh water, I have a wet paper towel and I wipe any white poop I see or any seeds that are spilled. And then I also use the hose to spray off limbs and, rocks and things like that. And there are some areas that I never clean in the corners that I cover up with, fake plants or straw, whatever. But I don't look at them. I don't have to sit there and look at it. So it doesn't really bother me. I also am really smart about where I put my landing spots, especially inside where all the furniture is. So they always poop when they're holding on with their feet, not when they're flying. And they like the pencil size limb or stick when they poop. So I kind of know where they like to poop. So I set it up so they don't poop where I don't want them to poop. And then I also have a lot of shelves and things that'll catch the poop too. And then, the floors, I just add chips or I do clean the concrete, but not that often, sweep mostly. But the cleaning, the hardest thing to clean are the windows. And I have had help with that before, but mostly I do it myself. And because it's sort of my passion to have it look a certain way, and I work really hard at it, and I change it all the time. So when I change it, I use everything fresh. I take out the old stuff and I bring in new stuff. And that makes like there's a lot of new stuff in here right now. And so it looks really fresh. It didn't look bad before, but it looks way better when I bring in the fresh stuff. So about every, oh, for sure every 6 months, but sometimes every 3 months, I take out things that are poopy and icky and I put them, I either throw them in the pond or in the sprinklers so they can get clean, like baskets and, you know, anything like that. And then I just am always rotating things around. But almost everything in here is from my house or from my yard. The only thing I really have bought just for the birds are a few of the fake plants. But everything else I already had, and I just bring it in because I want it to be, it's really my home as much as it's their home. And we kind of share it together. But I do like them to have a lot of real estate. And I always give them lots of places to land and hide. And they do really like that. And especially when you have so many species, they need that so that they can have their own areas. That's important. So yeah, the cleaning thing is a really big, when people see my aviary, there's, oh my God, how would you ever clean that? And it's like, that is the least of my worries because I'm so happy with having it look the way it does that cleaning it, it's almost a joy to keep it clean because I take so much pride and enjoyment in looking at it and spending time in here. So that's why it's important to me to have it. I have a really high standard of keeping it clean. It's really not so much for the bird's health at all, although that's good. I don't have places like food, but mostly it's because it makes me happy. So that's a long answer for the cleaning question.
I've got a question, but I'm not sure that you'll be able to hear my voice.
Speak up.
I'm interested in all the plants you've got in there. And it's a bit hard for my eyes to tell which are fake and which are real. But have you had to sort of try some of the plants that ended up being toxic, or are there any that you've had to avoid, or the birds just have so much choice that it doesn't really bother them?
It's pretty much, so all the plants that you can see are all real. They're in the way back corner is a fake bamboo. Everything else is alive. And those, I just got some of those at Home Depot the other day. Anyway, I love the plants and flowers. I love taking care of them. And I kind of do the same ones over and over. So like I know begonias, I know Boston fern, which is those pink ones and the ones down low by that metal gate. And then there's sunflowers and then there's coleus. So, the ones that are really bad are things like, of course, poinsettias, hydrangeas, certain ones, that I really do avoid. But for the most part, these little birds, canaries eat plants a lot, but these little birds, they eat a little bit of the fern. That's all they eat. The wax bills get all over the plants to find bugs, and they're in them and on them a lot. But I think, you can tell they don't really eat them. And they really enjoy getting in the foliage, especially when I put like a mister on. They love getting in and getting all their feathers really wet on top and in their head and rubbing in it. So, and they don't do that with the artificial plants as much as this, like those soft ferns. They love getting in those when the mister is on. So I don't worry about it too much. I've got quite a few, what are those planted in the ground? Hostas. And those are safe. So I guess what I do is I keep a short list of the kinds, and I do them over and over again. I don't bring in a lot of new different things that I've never had before. And mainly because I know it's shaded lighting. I know the lighting that the plants need, so I know what does well. So it's easy for me just to get the same ones over and over again.
Okay, I've got another question. What is the highest temperature in your area and the lowest temperature?
Did you say that when I'm heating it or when it's summer?
Climate outside.
Outside. So for high altitude, we've been 95, which is like 32. I don't know Celsius, but Fahrenheit 95. Sometimes we go above 100 a couple of days, but very rare. So it doesn't get super, super hot like California and Arizona, the southern states. But then we get extreme cold. So, and that is October to May, freezing temperatures. That's a long time for it to be cold. So only half short time is it warm. It gets like it's been 25 below zero. Very cold. That's a really cold temp, but it's been that cold. But a lot of times it's in the low teens for several days. A lot of times it's in the 20s to 40s, and it's not too bad. But whenever it gets below 20 degrees, I have to do a lot of extra stuff. I have to be really careful. And that's the thing that's so hard is I just don't like to go out of town. I don't like to leave because I have to do, I have to keep them warm and keep them, certain temperature. And I like to keep them warm. I like to keep it between 70 and 80. And they like it warm. They really do. They look better. They act better. Birds like to be warm. That I found that out. They do not like to be cold. And I'll tell you when they're cold. They act cold. So I know when they're cold. And I watch them so much that I can tell when they are their most happy, and it's when they're warm.
So apart from the split system, how do you keep them warm?
How do I keep them warm?
Yes.
Well, I have those two split airs that put out. I have a propane stove. I have 10 electric heaters. I have heating setups everywhere. And I can turn them on high, on turbo. And then I also bring in propane buddy heaters when it's really, really cold and add supplement heat. So that's what I do. And Jack helps me with that. But we know what's coming and we get prepared and we get all the extra heaters in place and ready. And then as soon as it gets cold, everything's on. And it's not that often, but it's a lot of rooms to heat, as you can see. And then I do have a group of birds that's cold tolerant, like the robins and some of the softbills. They can be where it's colder. But most of these, my really special birds, they're not cold tolerant at all.
Tina, I'm just wondering, you mentioned that you just imported some birds from Europe. Is that a big source of birds, Europe? And what's the sort of mechanics of how you manage to import from Europe in terms of quarantine and so on?
So there's bird vendors in the US where you can buy birds online. And those are the common birds. They're not very expensive, all kinds of birds. Then there's the rare birds that you cannot get in the US. Those are the birds that you have to get in the good old boys club and you have to work hard to find out where they are, who's bringing them in, and how much, if you can get on the list, right? And so those birds need a licensed import agent and a quarantine facility. So you need two different licensed people to bring the birds in for you privately. and it costs a lot of money. And then you have to find the source overseas and make all the arrangements. And then you have to pay all the money for the birds before they ship them. If they die in shipment, you're SOL. You don't get your money back and you don't get the birds. And I've done it 4 different times, 4 different years in a row. And every time it's a different experience. But that's where I've gotten all those special birds, like the pintails. And well, you know which ones they are, the ones that are hard to get. And that also don't breed very well in captivity. They're really low in numbers in Europe.
We can't import any passerines at all, so no finches at all can be
I
imported.
know so
Australia.
bad about it. I wish I could.
Is there sort of a limit? Have you got a list in the US of the specific species you can import? For instance, we have, although our borders are closed, there is an import list that lists parrot species. Is there sort of a list, or is it kind of, if you can source them in Europe, you can buy them?
Yes, you can from and they're expensive.
Yes.
And very few, very low numbers, like the sweet waxbill, black cheek. I got a couple, and some greenback twin spots, some lavenders, some other ones. There's one kind of bird that I'm dying to get. I want it so bad. I've wanted it for years, and it's the black crowned waxbill. I know if you know what they look like, they're just gorgeous. They're black, red, and white, and they're little. And I have some friends in Europe that breed them, that have them, and I'm working on trying to get some of those.
But the birds that are available to us, like the diamond firetail, what is the cost of that bird in the US?
That opal firetail that I just got recently, I got a pair for $250. So that, and I thought that was similar to your pricing. So parrot finches, pair $250-ish. Not too expensive for those. The birds that you guys have. Those crimson, the red ones, those are rare here. Those are very expensive. And a lot of the wax bills, like the violet-eared waxbill and the grenadier, which I've had, those are really expensive. And those breed here. They're not that hard to reproduce. A lot of people have them, but they're expensive. The Peters twin spots are really expensive. The like the fire finches, not too expensive. It just kind of depends on how many there are available. That's kind of how the pricing goes. If they're really hard to get, they're going to be very expensive. And we have very few breeders, serious breeders. And like even myself with all these rare ones, breeding is icing on the cake and a bonus. I really have my birds for enjoyment and for them to be happy. And I love being with them. If they have chicks, that's great. But I'm not separating them and putting them in cages and doing everything perfect so they can have chicks. Because that's not what I have. I don't enjoy that. But, a lot of the serious breeders, that's what you need to do if you're going to, be successful. And a lot of the people in Spain and Portugal and Italy that go to those big bird shows where there's a million people, they all cage breed and have tons of rooms with tons of cages. And they, that's the way they do their birds. And that's one of the reasons I love Australia so much. You guys are way more into aviaries, it seems like, and natural setting for your birds, instead of, rooms with rows and rows and stacks of cages. Anyway, that's been my experience. Not very many people in the US have big aviaries for finches. Most of them keep them in cages. Very good. Let's have a toast to my birds. I have a little thing of whiskey here. Because I'm taking a break. I was very stressed over this. So, yeah, for whiskey. That's good. Whoa. Woo. Okay, so that's the first canary I got. And I was so happy just to have birds when I started, and I could buy canaries right here in town. And of course, they're easy to breed. Pretty soon I had 25 canaries. You know, it's like, okay, this is too many canaries. So I had to quit breeding them because I couldn't control the breeding and I didn't want to like separate all the birds. But in the beginning, they taught me a lot. And, you know, they're really good at easy to breed. And it was actually more enjoyable in the beginning. This is way too effing serious now with these rare ones because I worry so much. And when, you know, one's not doing well, it's a lot more pressure. When I was breeding the canaries and the Goldians and the shaft tails and the, you know, those kind of birds, it was a lot more fun, I have to say. But I do feel like, you know, I have hit the golden, I'm in the golden stage with the group of birds have. And that just happened last October. And it took me a lot of years to get there. So I'm thankful and appreciative. And I'll probably never get these birds again. They're so hard to get. So I just enjoy the time that I have with them and hope that they live. So, you know, that's in my very first greenhouse over by Jack's Garden. And that's a pair of gold-breasted waxbills. They were like, oh, $29. And I still have them. I love them dearly. They're really special. And that's in the first greenhouse, and those are my shaft tails. They're so friendly. They're great birds. And the only reason I don't have them anymore is they just take up a lot of room and they didn't make the cut. That's a canary in a turkey feather nest. And she had chicks there. That was really cute in the window. I could watch her from inside the house. Those are my very first diamond firetails, and I still have them. And to me, I named my male I have Tuxedo. I love those birds. Those are smart, very smart, hardy, good parents. That bird stole babies out of nests, and he got rehomed quickly. Very bad bird. Don't like him. That's a group up in the aviary, Goldians and parrot finches and diamond firetails. Red face boys, I love those. Grass finch, I had a lot of those, a lot of babies. That's a canary I bred. He's a really sweet boy. I loved him. My weavers, no, the weavers are a little naughty. They didn't make the cut. And I had yellow and orange. I had them for a long time, but I won't get those again. That's my best boy. That's a group shot. Cuban finch, love the Cubans, but they're naughty too. They fight all the time. I had one attack a greenback twin spot nest, so they had to go. Goldians. Look at that baby. Isn't he sweet? They have the biggest babies. Big, strong chicks. That guy's got a really pretty cape. Those are really cool birds, but they are not good in a mixed aviary. And I really tried, and I just had hens for a while, and the hens fought. I mean, they're killers, I have to say. You can't trust them. And then that's a siskin. That's my special boy. Then lavender waxbills are really hard to reproduce. But when I have a lot of bugs, and that's a clutch that I had, And I was really proud of that. It took me years to get a clutch. Of course, those are really good birds. I have them in the other aviary because they were getting in the Swee's nest, so I had to move them. But they'll get to come back in. But those are really good birds. They're very cheap. They're like $5 here. But I like the little ones. And then, of course, strawberries. Never can have enough of those, and I will always have them. They're so well behaved, and they're beautiful, and they sing pretty. And that's one of my dream birds. Greenback from Africa.
Do you want to know what the name is?
Yeah, what is it?
What finch is this?
Greenback spot. They're little tiny river birds from Africa. They come from East Africa. This one is from West Africa, and you'll see some later that are from East Africa. They're a little bit different in their coloring and size, and they're expensive. They're about 800 to 1,000 a pair, and they're really fragile. They get sick really easy. They're not. I've had a really hard time with them, but I love them. I like that picture because there's no flowers or anything. It's just like sticks and rocks. And I've had a lot of tanagers, fruit eaters. I went through a phase where I had to experience it. I don't like them. They are messy and I don't know. The fruit eaters aren't for me. I don't like the. And then that's my special boy tuxedo. Look at him. He won a first place in a bird show. I read him. And that's when he was young. He was just old. Isn't he lovely? They're such pretty birds. And the Japanese white-eye, those are pretty good birds, but they're also fruit eaters. But they're nice. Starfinch. They aren't to me. They aren't. I don't care for them that much. Do you guys love them? They're great birds, but I had them. They didn't do much for me though. And I love the Gouldians that are yellow and red. They're so pretty. And the white chest, I love those too. And the Parsons, I love those. I like those better than the taft tails. They are very cool. And then if you look at that close, that's a lot of violet ear waxbills. And a guy had a bunch of them for sale, and I bought all of them. They were young because they kill each other, the males. Can't have them together. But this was before they matured, and I had them all together. They were like 800 a piece, I mean. And that was really nice to have all those. Red cheek cordon bleu. Those are really nice. Bunch of lavenders. This is strawberry. That's the red-fronted Saren. Look at the pencil lines on the feathers. Look at the tail and the wings. It is so pretty to look at. It's so refined. It's so perfect. And that backside view, I think is gorgeous. It's very intricate for feather like definition. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course the robins. The robins are so cute together. They love each other. They kiss. They hug. They preen. They cuddle, and you can tell right there that they love each other. They're really sweet together. That's a group now. There's the peels in there, and those are really nasty, mean birds. And I got a bunch of them. And then they were so mean to all my other parrot finches and to their mates. I mean, it was just chasing, murdering, raping all the time. And it was like, you guys are, this is, I don't like what you're doing. So I rehomed them to my friend and said, okay, if you have chicks, I want some. I gave them to her. She still has them. But those are one that I love how pretty they are. I love how they look, but they are mean. Of all the, I've had every parrot finch, right? Every kind. They are the meanest of all. And they never quit. There they are. Look how mean that male looks. He's the one in the front. You can see it on his face. And look how sweet that one is. The pintails are so shy and sensitive, and they really are like very timid, so timid. Those are really good birds. Those were born in my aviary. And then this, I changed the water dish. So when that strawberry came in there, he had to spread his tail out because he goes, I don't know what's going on here, but I might need my tail open because it's different. And then those birds are noisy. I don't really like the painted so much. They squawk all the time. Those those lavenders are like velvet with their feathers. Look at they just look like velvet. I love them. And that's like just a really pretty color picture. Oh, and that's Teddy. So Teddy, I've had two of those males, and they kill each other, and they're really mean to other birds. And I have him in the other aviary. They're really really amazing special birds. But he is in charge of the robins. Even he is so confident, strong, territorial, and then they're they are ground dwellers. They live in underneath understory, and they wait for birds and attack them. And they're really, uh, what do you call it? Sneaky about. It's hard to catch them being naughty, but you know when your other birds are really afraid. And Teddy attacked that beautiful red cracker, that crimson seed cracker, and I caught him. So that's why he's in the other aviary. He can't be with it. I can't trust him. And that's my special boy again. Oh, and those little black face, those little birds are mean also. I rehomed those. They're nasty. Mr. Robin. The robins are really sweet to the other birds. They don't do anything wrong. But because they're big, when they land by the other birds, go, we better move. There's Teddy. So pretty. And there's two kinds of black cheek waxbills. This is one kind, and I've got both kinds. And I don't know the names or where they're from. It's like, but other people that know all about them do. But yeah, they're great, and that's a really pretty picture of that Caloria. The blue is so bright. That's a group of the black cheeks after I got them. And then so I had two of those boys, and one was old. I could tell by his feet. So one, and I ordered a pair, but then they sent me two boys, so that's why I had two boys. Robins. That's Mr. Swee, and that he just came into breeding condition there. That was just about a month ago, and you can see how nice his colors and feathers are. And I take a lot of pride in the condition of my birds. And when you get them, a lot of times they look pretty rough. And so to see him come into that kind of condition for breeding, and now he has a nest, that makes me really happy. Those are pintail parrot finch babies. The first day they fledged, and they were really strong, and they all flew outside. I'm going, what are you guys doing? Get in. You're not supposed to be out here. They flew out the windows where I can't keep track of them. And they all got under the heat lamp, and they were acting like they were, really grown up. So it's like, okay, I guess you're out here. That's the black tail waxbill. So the lavender has the totally red tail. And these are a little bit more dominant in charge of the red tail ones. And I just got those in October. I'd never had them before. And I like them a lot. But they don't fight, they don't chase. But if there's food that, they get first choice on anything they want. They have a really black beak, and the lavender waxbills have a little bit of red on their beak. So I'm more than happy to stay connected and in touch with anyone that wants to visit. And I like to visit, and I like to share. So,
although I'm sure you'll get plenty of connections online, we also eyed off your guest house. Might be the odd one of us, making a trip to the US. People are saying, how many rooms in there?
Plenty of rooms. I have guest rooms everywhere, all over the place. So
yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Anyone to the US, and I would just love to have you come visit and stay. And you're welcome anytime. That would
yeah.
Where's Jack?
Fantastic.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Okay, I'm turning. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh.
Thanks, Tina. And there'll be something in the mail to you. It'll take a while to get there to say thank you.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Today, that's really much appreciated.